The potential was there. It didn't stick the landing though. The marketing for this movie definitely was amazing. Honestly, it brought up a bit of the hype. You wanted to watch the movie, and honestly, I actually didn't see any of the trailers. I just saw some of the promos where people are going into the theaters or they're going into malls and they're scaring people with this M3GAN idea. So, yeah, some expectations for this film were there. Um, Thinking about this movie overall, I wouldn't say it's a bad movie, and I wouldn't say it's a great movie. Maybe just a good movie. And I say that because when you're watching this movie, it's enjoyable at first. You're looking at the story wise. It's like, okay, I can see where they're going with it. They're playing with some of the tropes throughout. Some of the characters, I don't really like Jenna, or the mother's character. I think that's her name. Um, she's not that good. I don't really like her as a person. The little girl, it's like it's the characters aren't the best, and I kind of am not rooting for the mother. Actually, when I was watching this movie, I was just like, I don't want this thing to win, but I also don't want it to lose, because like throughout for like a good 70% of this movie, I was watching it and I was like, oh, okay, cool. Kind of like, oh yeah, she kind of, honestly, I was like, she kind of did the right thing. It might sound wrong, but it's like, it's kind of right. But it's like, okay. And then later on, I'm watching and I'm like, okay, now they're gonna show that she's actually scary. She's a bit creepy. And then at the end, the landing of the movie is not that great. I would say it's definitely something for fun you would watch. I wouldn't say like, oh, don't definitely watch this movie. I know a lot of people give this movie like, oh yeah, it's great. I also heard like some people saying this movie's horrible. I wouldn't say it's in a space like that. I would say it's an okay movie. If you've seen Chucky, if you've seen any horror movies like that, this movie's like that. You know, you don't have high expectations for it. You watch certain parts of it, you go, yeah, it was fun to watch. Overall, at the end, it wasn't that good. Um, the characters like the mother, the daughter, eh. If you're comparing this to Chucky and them, I think it holds up. Because if you watch Chucky, they're not that good, and it's like it's bad, but it's good at the same time. Because you enjoy watching it. It's like it's stupid fun. The idea of the character is definitely cool, and I'm gonna say it was definitely worth it. Without going into much spoilers, I would say this movie is a fun time. It's a stupid time. Logic doesn't stick the landing. I'd give this movie honestly 7 stars. And yeah, it might be a bit high. Maybe I was thinking towards a 7, but the thing is, like I said, for the half or most of the portion, I watch it and I enjoy it. And then at the end of the day, I'm also like, I can watch another movie like this, and maybe the stories are in a bit better, and it could be better. That's why I wouldn't give this a movie below a 6, but I wouldn't also give it more than an 8, because it's right in there. It's in a sweet groove where it's like, this movie is good. Nothing much, not great, not bad. It's good. I would like to see a sequel. Well, maybe it's written a bit better and the character would be more interesting to watch, maybe even more horror aspects. I'm gonna do a quick spoiler review. I think it's only gonna be 2 minutes because movies like these, I don't think there's much to talk about, to be honest, because it's a simple concept. So I'm gonna say the spoiler review begins now. Hello, everybody, to the spoiler review. We're gonna make this really quick, to be honest, because there's only certain scenes I do want to talk about. The mother, I did not like her at all. Well, the aunt, I hated her character. She was trash. Let's be honest. She was trying to deal with it, but she was looking at her job, and it was like she was so annoying. And especially in the beginning of the movie, when at first the neighbor comes off really nice. You are like, oh, this is a really nice neighbor. What's going on? And then she's just being, won't say certain words, gotta be gentleman-like. Yeah, she's not that good, and then the neighbor becomes an asshole, and you're like, oh, fudge. The dog also bitter, and you're like, I love dogs, but I'm sorry, that dog did have to be put down. Like, it had to go. And when M3GAN did it, I was like, low key is justified. That dog clearly is a menace. It bit the girl's hand. It was gonna bit her off. It needed to go. I'm sorry, it wasn't trained right. Like, Maybe they could have put it away, but I'm sorry, in the context of this movie, that dog had to go. The next thing with the boy, the problem is it jumped. That's the problem with this movie. It jumped and it escalated. It went from, oh, yeah, she killed the dog to protect the girl. Now she's willing to kill this kid out of nowhere. It's like, oh yes, this kid is an asshole. Yeah, but still, it's like the jump for M3GAN to, and then she goes into the creepy mode and starts walking creepily. It's like, no, this character didn't show any signs like that. Like, yeah, she's watching her, but it was a quick jump. And I get it. Like, you don't have too much time where you want to develop it, but you with the time you could develop a better character. Um, and then at the end, you're kind of watching it. She kills the neighbor, but low key, I was like, okay, yeah, I don't like the neighbor at that point. So I was like, oh no, the neighbor died. Sad fact. Um, Otherwise, the ending with her becoming bad and like her death was like, okay, cool. Like, yeah, I didn't like her too much at the end because like, yeah, she's becoming psychotic and evil. Um, but I was like, it could have been done better. One thing I did like was like kind of them hinting at like Ultron type. She stayed into the other robot, into the Alexa, which is cool. There's definitely a great way to sequel bait this and possibly do a better story. I don't know what angle they would want to go with this, if they want to continue, because honestly, I haven't really looked too much into this movie, if they are actually looking to plan to make a sequel or not. But that's why I would say this movie was a good time. It was definitely a fun time, and I would say it's a watch, especially if you find out this movie's getting a sequel. Then it's definitely worth it, because I like to see more dumb. Because let's be honest, we don't get too many Chucky's movies, and I kind of want to see more Jeepers Creepers, maybe with a real budget, real story. It definitely be more fun. It's kind of sad, and yeah, I wouldn't want this to make another sequel and to be bad. So if it's coming back but with a good story, I think that would be a great time. So that's why I'm definitely gonna stick with the 7 I gave it. Um, I would say it's a watch, but from home, not theaters. I know it's streaming now, so it's definitely worth streaming. Not really worth watching in theaters. So if you did watch in theaters, maybe it was a fun time with your friends. It was definitely something I would go watch with a friend because I just, if you have nothing else planned, it's like, why not? But it's not something you're like, M3GAN, that's the horror movie of the year. I'm pretty sure it's not going to be. So it is what it is. I hope you all enjoyed the review. To my 5 followers, or 1 follower, 1 person that views this video, I hope you enjoyed it. And I really appreciate a follow and a subscribe if you can, you know. And I'll remember you when the channel gets bigger.